Welcome to Premium English Hub, where fluency becomes confidence. Let's master English together. In today's lesson, we will talk about a problem that many people experience every day. Sometimes the mind feels too busy. Thoughts move quickly from one idea to another. The brain feels crowded, and it becomes difficult to focus on one clear thought. Many people live with this feeling without noticing it clearly. They wake up in the morning and immediately start thinking about many things. They think about work, responsibilities, messages, and future plans. The mind keeps moving from one topic to another without rest. Because of this constant mental activity, people often feel tired even when their body is not tired. Their brain continues working all day. It jumps between worries, decisions, and unfinished tasks. When the mind becomes too busy, it becomes harder to think clearly. This mental noise also affects learning and communication. When the brain is full of thoughts, it becomes difficult to organize ideas. People may struggle to explain their thoughts. They may start a sentence and suddenly forget what they wanted to say. The mind feels overloaded. A busy mind can also make small problems feel bigger. When thoughts move too quickly, the brain does not have time to organize them calmly. Instead of seeing the situation clearly, the mind creates confusion. The good news is that this problem is very common, and it can be improved. The brain is like a system that can be trained. When we understand how our thinking works, we can begin to simplify our mental activity. Clear thinking does not mean having no thoughts at all. It means having organized thoughts. A calm mind can focus on one idea at a time. This allows people to make better decisions and communicate more clearly. In this lesson, we will explore why the mind becomes too busy and how simple habits can help you think more clearly again. When you learn how to slow down your thinking and organize your thoughts, your mind becomes calmer and your ideas become easier to express. Before we learn how to think clearly, we must first understand why the mind becomes so busy. In modern life, the brain receives a large amount of information every day. People read messages, watch videos, listen to news, and check their phones many times. The brain is constantly processing new ideas. Because of this constant flow of information, the mind rarely has time to rest. When one thought finishes, another thought immediately begins. The brain keeps moving from one idea to the next. Over time, this creates a feeling of mental pressure. Another reason the mind becomes busy is unfinished thinking. Many people carry small worries in their mind throughout the day. They think about tasks they must complete. They remember problems that still need solutions. These unfinished thoughts continue returning to the mind again and again. When too many ideas compete for attention, the brain becomes confused. It becomes difficult to focus on one clear direction. A person may start working on something, but their attention quickly moves to another thought. Technology also plays an important role in mental overload. Phones, social media, and constant notifications interrupt the mind many times during the day. Each interruption pulls attention away from the current task. The brain must repeatedly change its focus. This constant switching of attention makes thinking slower and less organized. Instead of finishing one idea before starting another, the brain begins many thoughts, but completes very few of them. This creates mental clutter. Mental clutter is similar to a messy desk. When a desk is covered with too many papers and objects, it becomes difficult to find what you need. In the same way, when the mind holds too many thoughts at the same time, it becomes difficult to think clearly. Understanding this problem is the first step towards solving it. When we recognize why the mind becomes overloaded, we can begin to simplify our thinking. A calmer and more organized mind allows us to focus better and make clearer decisions. When the mind becomes too busy, the first thing that suffers is clarity. Clear thinking requires space in the brain. The mind needs a quiet moment to organize ideas and understand problems. But when many thoughts appear at the same time, that space disappears. Mental noise makes it difficult to focus on one idea. A person may begin thinking about a task, but another thought quickly interrupts the process. The brain jumps from one topic to another. Because of this constant movement, the original idea becomes weak. This problem also affects decision-making. When the brain is overloaded with thoughts, it becomes harder to choose the best option. The mind keeps analyzing many possibilities at the same time. Instead of reaching a clear conclusion, the person may feel confused. Mental noise also creates emotional pressure. When the brain is full of unfinished thoughts, the person may feel stressed or restless. Even small tasks can begin to feel difficult. The mind keeps returning to problems that have not been solved yet. Another important effect of mental overload is reduced creativity. Creative thinking requires calm attention. The brain must have time to explore ideas slowly, but when the mind is busy with many small worries, it cannot explore deeper thoughts. Communication can also become harder when the mind is crowded. A person may know what they want to say, but the sentence becomes difficult to organize. Words may come slowly, and ideas may appear unclear. This experience happens to many people. It does not mean the person is not intelligent. It simply means the brain is carrying too many thoughts at once. When the mind becomes quieter and more organized, something interesting happens. Ideas become easier to understand. Decisions become clearer. Communication becomes smoother. Learning how to reduce mental noise is therefore an important skill. When the brain learns to focus on fewer thoughts at one time, thinking becomes simpler and more effective. If a busy mind creates confusion, then the next question is simple. What do clear thinkers do differently? Why are some people able to stay calm and focused even when life becomes busy? The answer is not intelligence. It is not a special talent. The difference usually comes from simple mental habits. Clear thinkers train their mind to slow down and organize thoughts before reacting. One important habit is focusing on one idea at a time. Many people try to think about several problems together. They jump from one task to another without finishing anything. This habit increases mental pressure. Clear thinkers follow a different approach. When they face a problem, they give their attention to that single issue. They try to understand the situation calmly. Only after finishing one thought do they move to the next. Another important habit is reducing unnecessary mental noise. Many thoughts that appear in the mind are not important. They may be worries about the past or fears about the future. Clear thinkers learn to notice these thoughts without giving them too much attention. Instead of reacting to every idea, they choose which thoughts deserve their focus. This small decision creates more mental space. The brain becomes quieter and more organized. Writing thoughts down is another useful habit. When ideas remain only inside the mind, they continue moving in circles. The brain keeps repeating the same thoughts again and again. But when a person writes their ideas on paper, the mind feels lighter. This simple action helps separate important thoughts from unnecessary ones. The brain no longer needs to remember every detail. It can relax and focus on the next step. Clear thinkers also give their mind moments of silence. They step away from constant information and allow the brain to rest. These quiet moments help the mind recover from mental overload. Over time, these small habits change the way the brain works. Thinking becomes calmer. Ideas become clearer. The mind learns to focus on what truly matters. Once we understand the habits of clear thinkers, the next step is learning simple practices that calm the mind. These practices do not require special tools or long hours of training. Small daily actions can slowly reduce mental noise and improve clarity. One helpful practice is slowing down the thinking process. Many people try to solve problems immediately. When a question appears, the brain starts searching for answers quickly. This fast thinking often creates more confusion. Taking a short pause allows the brain to organize thoughts more carefully. Another useful practice is focusing on one task at a time. When a person tries to complete several tasks together, the brain must constantly switch attention. Each switch requires mental energy. Over time, this habit makes thinking slower and more stressful. Working on one task at a time allows the brain to stay focused. The mind can give full attention to the current activity. When that task is finished, the brain can move calmly to the next one. This simple method reduces mental pressure. Breathing slowly can also help calm the mind. When the brain feels overwhelmed, breathing often becomes fast and shallow. Taking a few slow breaths signals the body to relax. As the body relaxes, the mind begins to settle. Another effective practice is limiting unnecessary information. Many people check their phones many times during the day. Each message or notification pulls attention away from the current thought. Reducing these interruptions allows the brain to stay focused longer. Creating small moments of quiet during the day can also improve mental clarity. A short walk, a few minutes of silence, or simple reflection can help the brain reset. These quiet moments give the mind time to organize ideas naturally. When these small practices become daily habits, the brain slowly changes. Thoughts become less crowded. Focus becomes stronger. The mind begins to move more calmly from one idea to another. Over time, this calmer way of thinking helps people make better decisions and communicate their ideas more clearly. Clear thinking is not something that appears suddenly. It develops slowly through practice and awareness. Just like a muscle becomes stronger through regular exercise, the mind becomes clearer through consistent mental habits. The first step in training the mind is learning to notice your thoughts. Many people move through the day without paying attention to what is happening inside their mind. Thoughts appear automatically, and the brain reacts without reflection. This habit allows mental noise to grow stronger. When a person begins observing their thoughts, something interesting happens. They start recognizing which ideas are useful and which ideas create unnecessary stress. This awareness helps the brain slow down and choose better directions for thinking. Another important step is simplifying complex thoughts. When the mind becomes busy, problems often appear larger than they really are. The brain mixes many ideas together and creates confusion. Breaking a problem into smaller parts makes it easier to understand. For example, instead of thinking about many tasks at once, a person can ask a simple question: what is the next small step I need to take? This question helps the brain focus on action instead of worry. Clear thinking also grows when people learn to accept uncertainty. Sometimes the mind searches for perfect answers to every situation. When the brain cannot find certainty, it continues thinking again and again. Accepting that some answers will come later allows the mind to relax. Another helpful habit is reflection at the end of the day. Taking a few minutes to review the day helps organize experiences. A person can think about what went well and what can improve tomorrow. This reflection turns experience into learning. Over time, these small habits train the brain to think in a calmer and more structured way. Thoughts become easier to manage. Ideas become easier to express. The mind begins to move with more clarity and confidence. Training the mind does not require perfection. It only requires small daily attention to the way we think. Now that we understand how mental noise works, the next step is creating a simple routine for clearer thinking. Many people believe that improving the mind requires complicated techniques. In reality, small daily habits can slowly create powerful changes. The first habit is starting the day with a calm mind. Many people wake up and immediately check their phone. Messages, news, and social media quickly fill the brain with information. This habit creates mental noise before the day even begins. A better approach is beginning the morning with a few quiet minutes. During this time, the mind can slowly wake up and organize thoughts. A person may think about their main goals for the day. This simple moment of reflection prepares the brain for clearer thinking. Another useful habit is writing down important tasks. When tasks stay only inside the mind, they often create pressure. The brain keeps repeating the same reminders again and again. Writing tasks on paper removes this mental burden. Once tasks are written down, the brain can focus on completing one step at a time. This reduces the feeling of confusion. The mind becomes calmer because it no longer needs to remember everything at once. Taking short breaks during the day also helps the brain stay clear. When a person works continuously for many hours, the mind becomes tired. Thoughts begin to slow down and attention becomes weaker. A short pause allows the brain to recover. During a break, a person can walk for a few minutes or simply relax quietly. These small moments help the mind reset. After a break, the brain often returns to work with better focus. Limiting unnecessary information is another important habit. Too many notifications and constant online activity can overwhelm the brain. Reducing these distractions protects the mind's ability to think clearly. When these habits become part of a daily routine, the mind begins to feel lighter and more organized. Clear thinking becomes easier because the brain is no longer carrying unnecessary mental noise. A calm mind has a powerful effect on the way we live and work. When thoughts are organized and quiet, it becomes easier to understand situations clearly. Problems that once seemed confusing begin to look simpler. Many successful people share one common ability. They protect their mental clarity. Instead of filling their mind with constant noise, they create space for careful thinking. This space allows them to make better decisions. When the mind is calm, attention becomes stronger. A person can focus on a task for a longer time without distraction. Work becomes more productive because the brain is not jumping between many ideas. Clear thinking also improves communication. When the mind is organized, ideas are easier to express. Sentences come out more naturally. Other people can understand the message more easily. A calm mind also improves emotional balance. When thoughts move slowly and clearly, small problems do not create strong reactions. The brain has time to understand the situation before responding. Many conflicts in daily life happen because people react too quickly. A busy mind often responds with stress or frustration, but a calm mind pauses before reacting. This pause allows a person to choose a better response. Another benefit of mental clarity is creativity. When the brain is quiet, it can explore ideas more deeply. New solutions often appear when the mind is relaxed rather than overloaded. This is why moments of quiet thinking are so valuable. They allow the brain to process information naturally. Instead of forcing ideas, the mind begins to discover them. Over time, practicing mental clarity changes the way a person experiences life. Decisions become easier. Communication becomes smoother. Challenges feel more manageable. A clear mind does not remove problems from life, but it helps people face those problems with calm and confidence. If your mind often feels busy and crowded with thoughts, remember that this experience is very common. Many people live in a world filled with constant information and distractions. Because of this, the brain rarely receives a moment of quiet reflection. A busy mind does not mean a weak mind. It simply means the brain is carrying too many thoughts at the same time. When thoughts compete for attention, clarity becomes difficult. The good news is that the mind can be trained to become calmer and more organized. The most important idea from today's lesson is very simple. Clear thinking begins when we reduce mental noise. When the brain focuses on fewer thoughts at one time, ideas become easier to understand. Small habits can slowly create this change. Writing down tasks removes pressure from the mind. Focusing on one task at a time improves attention. Taking short breaks allows the brain to recover from mental fatigue. These simple habits may seem small, but their effect grows over time. When practiced daily, they help the mind develop stronger clarity and better focus. It is also important to remember that clear thinking does not require perfection. The goal is not to remove every thought from the mind. Instead, the goal is to organize thoughts so they become easier to manage. With patience and regular practice, the mind slowly learns a new rhythm. Thoughts move more calmly. Decisions become easier to make. Communication becomes clearer and more confident. If you want to think clearly again, begin with small steps. Slow down your thinking. Focus on one idea at a time. Give your mind moments of quiet during the day. Over time, these habits will help your mind feel lighter, calmer, and more focused. A clear mind allows you to see life more simply and move forward with confidence.